Hey guys, it's Julia Papworth with Waiver Wire Wins for Win Daily for week 5 of the NFL fantasy season. All right, let's get started. We're going to do it the same way we've done it before, starting off with quarterback, working through the positions, and we're going to go with players who are likely more rostered all the way down to bench stashes and people that are a little easier to get to on the waiver wire. Okay, first up is quarterbacks. First guy you should be looking for is quarterback CJ Stroud for the Houston Texans. Guys, I don't know what we're doing here. He is still only 47% rostered in Yahoo leagues. This week, he passed for over 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. And over the last 4 weeks of the season, his first 4 weeks in the NFL, he has passed for over 240 yards every week, and he's had 2 weeks over 300. At first, we were a little concerned that his passing was only going to continue because of game script with the Texans, but this week shows us that it didn't really matter. They beat the Steelers 30-6, and they didn't need the excuse of game script in order for CJ Stroud to throw. Next week, they're at Atlanta. I would suggest to pick him up, guys. Whether or not he is just going to be a second quarterback, a bench stash, a bye week replacement, either way, he's got some amazing talent, and I think he's only going to get better. Couple other quarterbacks to keep an eye on. Also, these are great for Superflex. Joshua Dobbs, Arizona Cardinals. He is only 5% rostered in Yahoo. The Arizona Cardinals have had a much better season so far than everyone gave them credit for. Dobbs went 28 for 41 this week, 265 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he also ran for 48 yards. He has rushed for over 40 yards with 3 out of the past 4 games. So he definitely can use his legs a little bit. That's a bonus for a quarterback. And versus Dallas, he had a 120 quarterback rating, and versus San Francisco, he had a 102 quarterback rating. Those are 2 of the hardest defenses in the NFL, and it seems like Dobbs and the Cardinals are kind of okay with them. Yeah, they're not winning all the time. I mean, they beat Dallas, but they are definitely putting up a fight. Dobbs is worth rostering, especially in a Superflex league. Next week, they play Cincinnati. One quarterback to just keep your eye on, Dorian Thompson-Robinson for the Cleveland Browns. He's 2% rostered. He came into play because Deshaun Watson was out. The Browns have a bye next week, and then it's San Francisco. So Deshaun Watson will probably be back. Even if he wasn't, you're not really going to want to start DTR against San Francisco. But DTR threw for 121 yards. Yes, he had 3 interceptions, but he did have 24 yards rushing. Again, this is a super flex consideration. He's got that rushing upside, so he might be a quarterback to just keep an eye on, because if for some reason Watson misses some more games, you might need to put him in there. We have Samaje Perine, who is 52% rostered, and Jaleel McLaughlin, who is only 3% rostered. Javonte Williams went down with what we are now hearing is a hip flexor injury. They said he might miss sometime, not tons at all, and I don't even know if he's going to miss 1 game. So keep in mind that these pickups might not be automatic starts. Perine he had 6 carries, he had 12 yards, and then he went 2 for 2 on receptions for 23 yards. McLaughlin looked amazing. He had 7 carries for 72 yards. He caught all 3 of his targets, and he had 32 yards there with 1 touchdown. We kind of thought that Perine would take over if Javonte went down, but it kind of looked like McLaughlin might be the guy. And he's definitely less rostered, so he might be easier to get. A lot of people did draft Samaje Perine this year. Chuba Hubbard, Carolina running back. He is Miles Sanders' backup. Miles Sanders had some practice issues this week. He's sort of still fighting a groin injury that he had from preseason. And Chuba Hubbard had more play time this week because of it. Both of the players touched the ball 16 times, but Hubbard got 54 yards and Sanders got 32. Hubbard had 14 carries, and he went 2 for 2 on receptions for 12 yards as well. It looks like this backfield is going to be a little more shared than maybe we thought it was. We all drafted Miles Sanders because we thought he would be the only guy, and we're looking at volume. Hubbard is a decent pickup. The Carolina offense is nothing really to write home about, but if Sanders is prone to injury, you could get a starting RB1 for a team on your fantasy team. The Carolina Panthers play the Lions next week. Couple people just to keep an eye on. Cam Akers is rostered in 80% of leagues, but since he's gone to Minnesota, you kind of want to keep an eye on him and see how they're going to use him. Again, 80% already rostered, so he might not be available, but if he is, just keep an eye on him, see how the usage pans out in Minnesota. And finally, Keaton Mitchell. He is a running back for the Baltimore Ravens. He is 17% rostered. He's currently on IR. He had a really good preseason for Baltimore. They were really talking him up, but he injured his shoulder in the second preseason game. And he's a rookie, undrafted free agent. And look, the way that the Ravens running backs seem to be dropping like flies, he is somebody that if you have a deep bench, stash him. I feel like not a lot of people are looking towards him, but if you're looking at Justice Hill, Gus Edwards, if they continue to have these off and on injury issues, Mitchell might be somebody that gets more carries. First up is the waiver wire darling from last week, Joshua Palmer for the LA Chargers. He is 62% rostered, so he's still out there. He only was 3 for 8 for 77 yards. We were looking at picking him up, him and Quentin Johnson, based off of that Mike Williams season-ending injury from the other week. The Chargers are on a bye next week, so if you need someone to play now, Palmer or Quentin Johnston are not going to be your guys. They might be someone to hold on to for later on in the year. Johnston is 47% rostered. He only had one catch for 18 yards. I think the team will continue to go to Palmer more than Johnston, but as the season progresses, Quentin Johnston might be the one that you want just because of the idea of rookie wide receivers really starting to come on in the second half of the season. Another wide receiver to look at is Romeo Doubs, Green Bay Packers. He is 54% rostered. He caught 9 balls for 95 yards this week, and we kind of wondered what would happen in Green Bay with Christian Watson coming back. He did come back and play, but Jordan Love still showed that he loved Doubs. Love Doubs. They play Vegas this week coming up. I think Doubs is a solid flex start. The quarterback there likes him and is going to continue to give him some targets. Next up, Tyler Boyd, Cincinnati Bengals. T. Higgins went out of the game with what we think is a rib fracture late in the second quarter on Sunday. And Tyler Boyd is kind of the guy that steps in whenever T. Higgins goes out. He was only 4 for 7 with 26 yards, but he did have over a 31% target rate in the second half after Higgins left. Look, we don't really know what's going on with the Bengals right now, so if you're going to pick up Tyler Boyd, I would do so with caution. The offense doesn't look right, and Joe Burrow does not look right. But the Bengals are at Arizona next week, which is an okay matchup. If you are stuck and need a wide receiver, you can maybe look at Tyler Boyd. Couple guys to just keep on the back burner and to keep your eyes on as we keep going on through the season. Trey Palmer, Tampa Bay Bucks. He is not really rostered at all in Yahoo. He caught 2 balls for 6 yards, but a touchdown on Sunday. The thing with Trey Palmer is Mike Williams left with a hamstring injury, and we kind of don't know how long that's going to be affecting him. Trey Palmer might be the next man up in that offense. The Bucks do have a bye next week again, so this is another player that if you need someone to start now, he is not your guy. One other person to keep an eye on, Wan'Dale Robinson, New York Giants. He is 4% rostered. We didn't get much of him last year, and people were really kind of pumping him up to see what he could do. We're going to kind of just keep our eye on him. We're going to see what Daniel Jones does with him. He could be a good bench stash moving forward. Oh, the tight ends. First of all, Dalton Kincaid, Buffalo Bills. He is 67% rostered. He had 27 yards. He caught 4 out of his 5 passes. And look, he plays for Buffalo. They're a high-powered offense. Again, if you're shooting your shot with a tight end, that's what you want. You want someone who's getting some passes, playing a lot of snaps, and is on a high-powered offense. They play the Jags next week. Jake Ferguson, Dallas Cowboys, 53% rostered. He went 7 for 7 for 77 yards, and he has had at least 7 targets in 3 out of the 4 games that we have played. Exactly what I said with Kincaid. Ferguson is getting the targets. Dallas is not as much of a high-powered offense as Buffalo is, but he seems to be consistently getting those targets, and he's doing really good things with them. Dallas plays the Niners next week. That matchup is a bit questionable, but Ferguson is someone to keep your eyes on. I hate to say it, but Taysom Hill, New Orleans Saints, 12% rostered. Juwan Johnson is a little injured, and Foster Moreau is also injured. So that's kind of leaving Taysom Hill to be your only tight end / running back / wide receiver / quarterback for New Orleans. He had 4 rushing attempts for 10 yards, and he went 1 for 1 for 7 yards receiving, and then he threw a pass for 13 yards passing. So there is that classic Taysom Hill. He played 11 snaps as a receiver this week, and he's someone to take a look at. Look, if you are streaming your tight ends, there are worse people you can do than Taysom Hill. He's going to get the opportunities. They play the Patriots next week. Couple more guys to close us out to keep an eye on. Logan Thomas, Washington Commanders. He's only 6% rostered. He went 3 for 3 for 41 yards. He was really quite concussed on week 3, and he had a great week. They might have just been sort of easing him back in after that brutal hit. But look, 6%, check him out. If you look, guys, tight end is rough out there. So you might have to throw some darts and hope something sticks. Finally, someone else you could throw a dart at, Cade Otton, Tampa Bay Bucks. He's only 2% rostered. He caught 3 passes, 13 yards, but he did get a touchdown. Look, this is a flyer. He is somebody that you're going to need a touchdown to hit for him to be worthwhile for you. But Mike Evans does have that hamstring injury. So if Evans is out for an extended period of time, Cade Otton could definitely get more targets. Again, they are on a bye next week. So if you need a tight end fill-in for next week, Otton is probably not your guy. Okay, guys, that is it. Thank you so much. That was Waiver Wire Wins for Win Daily. Once again, check me out on social at Julia Papworth. All right, guys, good luck out there.